You know, it's funny when I would, or when I do go on vacation, when I was working, when I had a real job, which was, you know, only like 2 weeks ago. One of the guys that I worked with, Tom, he would watch the videos, or I would come back to the office or something, and he would be like, I can tell after about like 3, maybe 4 or 5 days when you start settling in and you relax. Everything's just like a lot, you know, more chill. And, you know, it makes me realize that for me, let me just say this. I have discovered that my stress, I would say at least 51% of it, arguably, is self-induced. So I will take that. I will take that level of responsibility. I will hold myself accountable for the stress that I have in my life, at least that much. With the rest of it, I can blame on external forces. How's that? So I've got this gimbal, my Moza, which I will credit Sexy Cyborg YouTube channel for recommending. Actually, she was she's kind of an interesting character, and but she's actually pretty technically competent, and so it's really neat to watch her sort of shtick that she has. She's this Chinese woman, and she basically reviews technology, and fairly robust technology. And she's got a persona that is arguably quite sexy, and one could argue that she is watched by probably a lot of young men because of her physical beauty. But nonetheless, once you sort of get over that initial distraction, her content actually is quite interesting. And so anyway, I blame her for the wild success of this, I think, $99 gimbal that I have, which is really stellar. And I also want to thank many of my subscribers for continuously reminding me, aka pestering me, and I'm not joking, like, thank you for reminding me, that my highly caffeinated left and right arm and the jitter that is the result of that is not conducive to a video that is attractive on YouTube. So thank you for constantly encouraging me to actually spend less than $100 and get a silly gimbal thing. Definitely worth it. I completely agree. So anyway, so my stress, right? And so it's arguably self-induced, which the good news there is that it can also be self-corrected, right? So that's pretty sweet. Because I never blamed anyone else but myself for being hungover. No one ever put a gun to my head and say, you should drink this entire bottle of Southern Comfort, sir. No, that's all my doing. So the whole stopping doing that, while arguably not the simplest thing I've ever done in my life, I can also blame myself for getting sober. So anyway, but the other thing about, actually, so this gimbal, the other thing too, is that I'm also on my my Google phone, the Pixel, and the Pixel has the 2XL has some degree of stabilization in it. It's not as good as the 3. So even if I did hold this in my hand, there would be some degree of digital video stabilization. But as you can also notice, there's nothing quite like the physical stabilization. Because of course the physical jitter is what introduces it, right? And I just sort of throw that anecdote in there because once again, it's back to once I find out where the introduction of the imperfection comes from, if I can modify that, then I might get back to some degree of comfort. So once I find out where the stress comes from, if I can modify my own behavior, then, well, I might be able to get de-stressed. And so that's basically some of what I've been able to do here. I was able to identify the fact that when I landed in Bangkok 6 years ago, I liked it a lot. I hate to just like walk into somebody's picture, right? So I wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna. Okay, this is the world's biggest. You have to see the size of this jellyfish.
Ooh, shiny red ball.
Now, by itself, it probably doesn't look that big. But here's my foot. I have a size 10.5, 11 shoe. So from my perspective, that's a big jellyfish. By the way, Mike, this is what the sign says. So don't swim with the jellyfish.